Hi everybody, I'm Scott Castellanos and welcome to Front Porch Comedy. Remember to keep creating, keep making some content, putting it out there. Use the hashtag Can't Stop Comedy. I'm out here in a jacket today because I'm freezing. It's windy, the sun's out though. We got blossoms blooming around, but it's freezing out. We had snow a little bit earlier, and I know you guys are saying, Scott, I did not tune in for the weather, so I will leave it there. But so today I'm gonna cover some topics. What I'm gonna call is my ode to hacky premises. I'm gonna tackle some topics that you've probably heard a gazillion times over the year, but I'm gonna put the Scott twist on them and see if I can work them out a little bit. So with that being said, guys, stay tuned. We got our shout outs coming up, and then we got joke time coming up, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's shout out time. That's right, this is where we give a little plug to a local small business and a local comedian. So I'm gonna give my first shout out to the small business that's not too far from my house. It's on Devon Avenue and it's called Shawarma Inn. Now this one happens to be my kid's favorite. In particular, my oldest son's favorite. The whole family loves it. We love the shawarma. I love the baba ganoush. We love the chicken. We love just about everything that we get there on a regular basis. Oh, don't let me forget the falafel. Everybody loves the falafel. But one of the great things about this place is not only is the food great, but they give you so much that you're gonna have this for easily 2 nights, especially if you get like a whole bunch for the family, easily 2 nights worth. So Shawarma Inn on Devon, just east of Cumberland. Make sure you guys hit them up. Now my comedy shout out's gonna go to a suburban comic. I've been able to do a handful of mics with her. Her name is Danette. She's very, very funny. She's got a really interesting delivery. It's like almost like she's just like really excited to tell you about it. She's got takes from being a single mother to sleeping on a couch to all kinds of funny things. She's very funny. I know she does plenty of showcases once we're all back up and running again. Danette Mark, check her out. She has a podcast that's called Easy for Me to Say. Very funny lady. Check her out. Danette Mark, everybody. It's joke time, everybody. All right, I'm gonna introduce your comedian. And without further ado, your first comedian of the evening is Scott Castellanos. Hey everybody, I'm Scott Castellanos, and I hope you guys are all doing all right. I'm freezing my butt off. Happen to be looking through the old social media feed, and you know those memories pop up. And I realized that right around this time last year, I happened to pay a little visit to the ER. And one of the things, or something that was interesting to me, is I think you'll learn something about yourself when you take a trip to the ER. Me in particular, I learned that I'm a people pleaser and I'm an overthinker. Now, let me explain a little bit. As they're doing the old check-in with me, they got their charts out and they're entering all the information. They're sitting there and asking me questions, and my wife is sitting right next to me. You know, they're asking me about how much pain I'm in and, you know, the symptoms and, you know, what happened. And I'm answering all these questions like I don't want to put them out. You know, like, oh, it's okay, you know, it hurts, but, you know, it's fine. Oh, would you like us to get you a wheelchair to get around, Mr. Castellanos? No, that's fine. Like, it's too much trouble for them. And, you know, then they start talking to me and they give me that little chart with all the faces on it to show, you know, are you super happy face or are you like, oh, this hurts a lot, and you got tears coming out. And, you know, and I'm looking at them to see, like, where I should be at. They're like, you had a 4, you're 5, and I'm looking at the nurse's face to see, like, what her reaction is, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. Almost like I'm, you know, like it's some sort of test or something. I don't know why I feel like I need to please them for all of this. And then as we're going through this, they're saying, you know, Mr. Castellanos, you know, we understand if you're in some pain. If there's something we can get you, you know, we'd be happy to. So then I'm thinking, well, you know, they must know I'm in pain. They understand. So I should probably say yes to what they want. So here comes my people pleasing again. But then as I'm going down that little path, like, oh, okay, you know, just whatever you got is fine. But then I start thinking in my head, oh, wait a minute. What if they think I'm one of them people out there that's just trying to get some drugs out of this whole deal? So then I start dialing it back again. And then I'm like, well, no, why would they do that? I'm just here for a sprained ankle. Then I start ramping it up again and then dialing it back and ramping it up, realizing the whole time, this is probably exactly what a drug seeker would do. And then I wind up screwed, get the old bill for $200, and then they send me on my way. So That's my trip at the ER. The good news was nothing major was done, but the bad news is I learned I'm kind of an idiot. So that's my trip to the ER. Something else that kind of happened about a year ago is we went on a flight as a family, and you know, some of the things that really kind of get on my nerves about taking these flights, it's just the little things. And I'm someone who gets annoyed by all these little things, and I just, you know, build them up in my head and go a little nuts, right? And one of those things is when the pilot gets on the loudspeaker and tells us what altitude we're flying at. I don't care. I'm assuming we're flying high enough to do whatever it is we got to do in that plane to get to wherever we're going to get. I mean, if they tell me tonight we're flying at an altitude of 32,000 feet, is there someone that's going to be freaking out in the aisles going, it should be 34? What's going on? I don't know. We're in the sky. We're moving in a direction. I'm assuming the right direction and at the right height. We'll get there. Another thing, they always tell us about the wind trajectory, which direction the wind's coming in, and how fast the wind is blowing. Okay, is it going to be bumpy? That's all I really need to know. Are the masks going to pop down? If the mask's going to pop down and we're going to be bouncing around, I need to know that. But if the wind's coming in at 100 miles per hour behind our back, I don't really know what that means, and I don't know if that's going to really help me. Now you may say, Scott, that may tell you if you're going to arrive to your destination sooner or later. Really, guys, have you been to an airport? You can get there a half hour early. You're not making up any time. You still got to get your bags. You still got a taxi. You still got to do all that. Who cares? I know when I'm going to arrive. It's roughly on the ticket. It's on the ticket, the time I'm going to arrive. Anyways, but one of the things that really got to me was this was my first run-in with people with emotional support animals. I don't know much about this emotional support animals and how the whole thing works and, you know, that whole back and forth. But one thing I did notice was that the dogs didn't look too happy in these scenarios. They all looked a little scared, but I did see some pros and cons to this whole thing. So I was doing this little checklist because they were set up a little, you know, the few flights I took and where I've seen these emotional support dogs. You know, I noticed that the pro is people don't really want to sit next to you. So, hey, nothing like an empty seat, especially if they get that opportunity, right? Someone will usually move because they don't want a dog sitting with them. But two, kids, if a kid's sitting next to you, they definitely want to stay because there's a dog there and kids love them. And I can tell you, you know what? I don't even want to sit next to my kids on a flight. So I sure don't want some other kids sitting next to me on a flight. So got to weigh those things out if I'm going to get me an emotional support dog. But to go back to the dogs. Now the dogs, every time I've seen them, they look terrified. They got their tail between their legs. They're shaking. You know, they look just so anxious. And then they get into the aisle and they get into the seat and they curl up in a little ball and they're there the whole time. And I'm thinking to myself, so wait, my big takeaway is, so the only way that this guy can feel emotionally supported is by terrifying an animal for 2-3+ hours? What the hell's wrong with this frickin' psychopath? Are we keeping these guys' names on lists? What are we doing with this data? Are we going to learn something 20 years from now? I mean, I don't know if we got serial killers on our hands or what, but there's something a little twisted about wanting to put a dog through that just so you can make it on a flight. That's my time, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm a little cold if you can't tell, so I'm going to give a shout out to my wife, Carla, who's being the camera person here, who's holding her hands up while I'm shaking, and she's doing her best to not shake. So thank you, Carla. Thank you, everybody. Remember to follow me, like the videos, subscribe, do all those fun things, and use the hashtag Can'tStopComedy. See you guys tomorrow.